So, good morning. Good morning. So, please, the reason why they do this thing, this very documentation, which is the different driver license. When you see if you used to drive any types of the vehicles, and the auto vehicles is very important to our study. So, and there are some of us when we see miss this very class. So, I'm not really okay by that, so I just taking upon myself to just try to create time and do this part that we have already learned on their behalf, so that I can post it on the group, so that they can still have the knowledge of the ones who've learned on their behalf. So okay, so today now I will do that is where it starts, where the driving license starts. So the documentation, which is documentation in the guida de vehicle. So the document of the driving of the vehicles. Category de la patente de guida. So the categories of the driving license. So the different types of driving licenses we can use to drive each and every one of the vehicles. Okay. So we are starting with the patente AM. So the driving license IM. Ciclomotore. So the ciclomotore, they are the small motorbike. A due tre ruote. So the small motorbike with a due ruote with 2 tires. Tre ruote and 3 tires. So the small motorbikes, they have 2 or 3 tires. Okay, they are the ones that have 2 tires and 3 tires. Okay, just the bracket. Quadricycle leggere and the light quad. The light quad. So the light quad, you can still use patente AM to drive the light quad. Okay, quadricycle leggere. The cylinder fino a 50 cm cubo. So the cylinder of the engine of this small motorbike and the light quad is up to 50 cm cubo. Okay, con velocità fino a 45 km/h, and with their maximum velocity is up to 45 km/h. Okay, then conseguibly in Italian. So this very license AM, it can be achieved, conseguibly can be achieved in Italy, da chi ha compiuto 14 anni di età. So this patente AM, driving license AM, can be achieved in Italy who has ever completed 14 years of age. So 14 years of, if you don't complete 14 years of age, you can achieve this driving license AM. Okay, consente il trasporto di un passeggero, and it will allow you as well to transport one passenger. Consente transport di un passeggero, so it will allow you to transport one passenger. Quando il conducente ha compiuto 16 anni di età. So this very patente AM, it will allow you also to transport one passenger. Quando il conducente, when the driver ha compiuto 16 anni di età. So when the driver have completed 16 years of age. So in another word, this driving license AM, you can achieve it in Italy when you have completed 14 years of age, and it will also allow you to transport one passenger, provided you have completed 16 years of age. Okay, then let's continue. This is a video, so you can always rewind if you don't understand, so that you get the proper understanding. So then look at the ciclomotore. So this is the ciclomotore. The first one and the second one, they are the small motorbike. Ciclomotore a 2 ruote. So the small motorbike with 2 tires. Okay, cilindrata, you can use patente AM, you can use it to drive them. Cilindrata fino a 50 cm cubo. So their cylinder of the engine is up to 50 cm cubo. Potenza fino a 4 kilowatts. So the power of this ciclomotore, of this small motorbike, is up to 4 kilowatts. Okay, velocità non oltre 45 km/h. So their maximum velocity is not above 45 km/h. Okay, then ciclomotore a 3 ruote. So the small motorbike with 3 tires, this form of keke nape. So this one is the same as small motorbike with 3 tires. Ciclomotore a 3 ruote. Okay, the driving license AM can still be used to drive them. The cylinder of their engine is up to 50 cm cubo as well, while the velocità, the maximum velocity, is up to 45 km/h. Then this one, quadricycle leggere, the light quad. This is the light quad. Okay, this one, this car, you can be seeing, if you see this car for all the city, when you see these small boys and the girls, they drive them around. So this one is classified as Okada as well, this very car. Okay, this one is called quadricycle leggere, the light quad. So you can use patente AM to drive it as well. The velocity, the maximum velocity is up to 45 kilometers per hour. Okay. So then that one is for Patente AM. Now we don't round up so with so now I move to Patente A1. So what you will just do, just try to go to the application where we used to do some of the question and answer, the application, and that the application here we used to do the question and answer. So let me just try to show you something. Okay, let me try to show you something. Sorry, just give me one. So just give me a second so that I just show you some things, okay? Because of the time, so that I cannot be able to do the quiz. So you guys will do this one. This is our application. Just come here, argomenti. You go to documentazione. Go and look for documentazione. Patente e documentation. You just come the 20, okay? Then you check documente per la circolazione tag abitazione Patente AM. So you just enter here. This is a Patente AM. So you can see all the question of Patente AM, the one we just done now, okay? The one we just do now, you can see all them. So the most important thing, you just come to this place, Patente e documentation, and then click it. Then when you click it, just scroll down. You will see Patente AM. We have through this one. Then you will see Patente A2. We have not done it. Patente A1, Patente A2, just like so forth and so on, just like that. As you screen down, you will see each and every one of them. So I will try to do the lesson. Then you yourself, when you have time, you just go to the question and answer to the questions from your understanding. Okay. So then let me take the Patente A1, which is the A1. Okay. Let me take the A1. So the A1 says motocicli leggere. So the big motorbike that are the light big motorbike, because we have motorbike, the heavy one and the light one. The big one, so we have the heavy one and the light one. So this one is the big one and they are the light one. Motocicli leggere. So this motocicli leggere is the big one, but they are light. Okay, we can use Patente A1 to drive them. Con or senza carrozzetta. So with or without roof. Carrozzetta means roof. So the big motorbike that are light with or without roof. The cilindrata fino a 125 cm3. So their cylinder of their engine is up to 125 cm3. Potenza maximum fino a 11 kilowatts. So their maximum power is up to 11 kilowatts. Rapporta potenza. So the power ratio. Peso, the power ratio is fino a 0.1 kilowatts or kilogram. So the power ratio is up to 0.1 kilowatts. Okay. So please, this one is video. If you don't understand, rewind. Understand before you continue because it's video. Okay. Then tricicli a motore. So this tricycle. I will show you tricycle. Okay. This tricycle. So we can see use Patente A1 to drive tricycle as well. This tricicli. We can see use Patente A1 to drive them. The potenza non superiore a 15 kilowatts. So the power of the tricycle you can use Patente A1 to drive. The power must not be above 15 kilowatts. Okay. Then macchina agricola, you can see use Patente A1 to drive agricultural machine. Che rientro nel limite di sagoma. So the agricultural machine that we have the same size. Nel limite di sagoma, the same size. E di massa, the same size and the mass limit. Previously per motorcycle, that is for motorcycles as well. So the agricultural machine that we have the size limit and the maximum weight the same as for the motorcycles. So if you know, for example, just go to the carta di circolazione, the documentation of the agricultural machine, and check the size limit and the weight limit. If it's the same thing as the motorbike, the big motorbike that are light, if it's the same thing, so you can use Patente A1 to drive them. Okay. Then conseguibly da chi hai a meno 16 anni di enter. So this very Patente A1 can be achieved that can be achieved by who's at least 16 years of age. Who don't get 16 years of age can achieve this parte A1. Sedici anni di età, at least 16 anni di età, at least 16 years of age, you can achieve this parte A1. Consent is transport the own passenger, so it will still enable you to transport one passenger. Se sulla carta di circolazione del veicolo è indicata da tale possibilità. So on the documentation of the vehicle of this light motorbike, if they wrote it on the documentation, which is the carta di circulazione, that this motorbike can enable you to carry one passenger, no problem, you can carry it, provided it is written there. Okay, that is this word. So transport of the own passenger, so it can allow you to transport one passenger. C'est sous la carta di circolazione. So if the documentation, which is carta di circolazione, the vehicle of the vehicle, è indicata tale possibilità. So in such possibility, if it is written on the document of the big motorbike that is light, that you can take one passenger, no problem, you can do that. Okay. Abilita anche la guida del veicolo conducibile con la partita AM. So this very partita A1, it can still enables you to drive the vehicle that can be driven by partita AM. Which means now AM is higher than AM, so you can drive the vehicles that AM can drive as well with this partita A1. Now that is the meaning of this word. Abilita anche alla guida. So it will enable you also to drive the vehicle, conducibly con la partita AM. So it will enable you, this partita A1 will enable you also drive the vehicles that partita AM can still drive. Okay. So please try to take the video slow and steady. Rewind if you don't understand before you continue. Okay. So that is A1. Then let's take the picture. So look at the picture. Motociclo leggere. So the big motorbike that are light. So motociclo leggere, you can use license AM to drive them. Motor vehicle, they are called the motorcycles. Motor vehicles, they are called the motorcycles. So you can use AM A1 to drive this motociclo leggere. Okay. Cilindrata non oltre 125 cm3. So the cylinder of the engine must not be above 125 cm3. Okay, so these are what you must know because we have big motorcycle that are light, we have big motorcycle that are not light. So the most important thing that you must observe is the cylinder of the engine. They say cilindrata non oltre 125 cm3. So the cylinder of the engine must not be above 125 cm3. Okay, then the potenza fino, so the power must up to 11 kilowatts. So the power must be up to 11 kilowatts. The rapporta maximum, so the power ratio, potenza, so the power ratio, the maximum power ratio must be up to 0.1 kilowatts. So the power ratio must be up to 0.1 kilowatts. So all these things, you consider them if they are written on the carta di circolazione, so you know you can use partita A1 to drive them. Okay. Then this one is tricicli. So look at the tricycles. This pequena pair, they are the tricycles. So you can use partita A1 as well to drive them. Then potenza fino a 15 kilowatts. So the power of the tricicli that you can use partita A1 to drive, the power must be up to 15 kilowatts. Okay, up to 15 kilowatts, not above. Okay. Then macchina agricole, you can still use this partita A1 to drive agricultural machine. Limited disagoma, so the size limit. So the size limit, massa, so the size limit and the weight previously for per motociclo. So the size limit and the weight must be the same as the light big motorbike that are light. Okay, so if you know the agricultural machine have the same size limit and the weight up to the same as the light big motorbike that are light, you also know you can use their partita A1 to drive the agricultural machine as well. Okay. So I've done with the partita A1. Then what you will just do, please go to the question and answer and take the question. So let me move to partita A2. Okay. So this one is a partita A2. The two A2, which is license A2. Okay. Motociclo, which is the big motorbike. So the big motorbike, you can use a partita A2 to drive them. Con or senza carrozzetta, so with or without roof. Okay, the potenza fino a 35 kilowatts. So the power of this big motorbike must be up to 35 kilowatts. Rapporta potenza, so the power ratio peso non oltre 0.2 kilowatts or kilogram. So the power ratio must not be above 0.2 kilowatts. Okay, don't forget the patente hardware, their power ratio is up to 0.1. So this one is the big one. So their power ratio must not be, this one must not be above 0.2. Okay. then they continue. They continue. It says perché non siano derivate da una versione. It says provided they are not derived dello stesso, provided they are not derived from a version of the same dello stesso modello che sviluppano oltre il doppio della potenza massimo. So what they are saying here is this. Say provided they are not derived from a version of the same model that develop more than double the maximum power. So they must not be double more than the maximum power, which is this 0.5, 0.2. So they must not be above this 0.2. Okay, so this is what they are trying to say. The power must not be above 0.2. Okay, then tricicli and motore. So the tricycle with an engine, the tricycle, the potenza non superiore a 15 kilowatts. So the tricycle that you can use patente hardware to drive, their power must not be above 15 kilowatts. Okay. The macchina agricoli, the agricultural machine, che non superano il limite di sagoma. So the agricultural machine that you can use patente hardware to drive must not be above the size limit. The massa, the size limit and the weight limit previsto per il motocicli. That is the same size limit that is expected for the motorcycles. So that is for the motorcycles as well, the big motorcycles. So their power and the size of this agricultural machine, you must check them very well, that they must not be above the size limit and the weight limit of their this big motorbike. So if the agricultural machine, they have the same size limit and the weight limit like this big motorbike, you can use patente hardware to drive the agricultural machine. Okay. Then they continue as well. Poi essere conseguito da chi ha almeno 18 anni. So this very patente hardware can be achieved by those have at least 18 years of age. This patente hardware must be achieved who have completed 18 years of age, at least 18 years of age. Okay. E consente di trasporto di un passeggero, and it will allow you to transport one passenger. Solo se previsto sulla carta di circolazione del veicolo, only if it is written on the document of the vehicle of this big motorbike, which is the motorcycle, that you can transport one passenger, no problem. Okay. Then they continue. I titolari di patente hardware. So the owners of the license A2, da almeno 2 anni. So the owner of the license A2 of at least 2 years. For example, if you have patente hardware for at least 2 years, this is what they are trying to say. I titolari di patente hardware da almeno 2 anni. So the owners of this license, this patente hardware for at least 2 years, puoi conseguire la patente A. So if you have patente hardware for at least 2 years, so you can go for the patente A, which is a big, the highest license to drive all the types of various motorcycles. So the law said if you at least you have the patente hardware for at least 2 years, puoi conseguire la patente A. So you can go and achieve patente A. Okay? Che abilita la guida di tutti I motocicli. So the patente A that will allows you, that will enable you to drive all the types of motorcycles. Okay? Anche se Please, I just want to try to round up because these children now, because I need to, let me try to round up. So then, sorry for the noise now. So this patente hardware, if you have this patente hardware for at least 2 years, puoi conseguire la patente A. So you can go for or achieve patente A, che abilita la guida di tutti I motocicli. So the patente A that will enable you to drive all the different types of motorcycles. Anche se ha meno di 24 anni. Also, if you have less than 24 years of age, so if you still have less than 24 years of age, you can still go and achieve this patente A, provided that you have patente hardware for at least 2 years. Okay. Then This patente a due abilita anche alla guida del veicolo condiscibili con le patente AME A1. So this patente A2, it will enables you also to drive the vehicles that patente AM and A1 can drive. So that means patente A2 is superior to AM and A1. Is what they are trying to say, okay? Then motorcycle. So this big motorbike, you can use patente A2 to drive them, but you have to make sure that the potenza, the power, is up to 35 kilowatts, okay? Then rapporta potenza peso, so the power ratio may up to 0.2 kilowatts, okay? This is what you have to consider. Then tricycle, this tricycle, so you can use patente A2, the license A2 to drive them as well, but what you must consider is the power. Power fino are 20 kilowatts, so the power must be up to 15 kilowatts, okay? Not above, okay? These are what you need to consider. The macchina agricole, so the agricultural machine. So the agricultural machine, you can see use patente A2 to drive them, but what you must consider is this limited disagoma, so the size limit of the agricultural machine, massa and the weight. Previously paying motorcycle, so the size limit and the weight must be the same as the big motorbike. If the size limit of the agricultural machine and the weight is the same as the big motorbike, just know you can use the A2 to drive them. That's what you will consider first, okay? So I've done with the patente A2 now, so I will enter patente A. So what's the time now? So I don't want to make it too long so that it will be very comfortable to watch, because if it is too long now, you guys will have difficulties watching. But there's no problem. We have to work hard. There's nothing comes easy. So nothing good comes easy. So motorcycle, this patente A, this patente A, which is the biggest one of them all, the biggest motorbike of them all, the motorcycle. So the drive license you need to drive this big motorcycle is patente A. So this patente A can drive all the different types of motorcycles, okay? Motorcycle, tutti ETP. So this patente A can drive all the types of motorcycles. Con or Cesar carrossetta, so with or without a roof. The cilindrata are 3/4 centimeter cubo. So the cylinder of the engine is above 50 centimeter cubo. A velocità oltre 45 km all'ora. So the maximum velocity is above 45 km per hour. Okay. Then tricycle. So you can see use this patente A to drive tricycle as well. Tutti ETP, all the types of the tricycles. Okay. Please. Let me round up because these children, I need to look them before. So before the noise, sorry, the tricycle, so the tricycles, tutti ETP, so you can use patente A to drive all the different types of tricycle, okay? Quella con potenza oltre 15 kilowatts, so the tricycle that their power is above 15 kilowatts. Solo dopo aver compiuto 21 anni di età, so only if you have completed 21 years of age, okay? Before you can drive this tricycle, the big ones that have the power above 15 kilowatts, only if you have completed 21 years of age, okay? The macchina agricole, you can see use patente A to drive macchina agricultural machine. Che non superano il limite di sagoma. So the agricultural machine must not be above the size limit, and the massa and the weight previously paying motorcycle. So must not be above the size limit and the weight that is for the same as the motorcycles. It must not be above the weight and the size of the motorcycles. So they must be the same thing. So if you just notice it on the catalytic revolution that is written like that, it's the same thing. So you can use patente A to drive that agricultural machine, okay? Then they continue. It could continue. You say, può essere conseguiti tramite. So this patente A can be achieved through può essere conseguiti tramite. So this patente A can be achieved through the first one, accesso gradually. So this patente A can be achieved through a gradual access. When they say accesso gradually, it means a gradual access, okay? 20 anni di età. So if you have 21 years of age, you can gradually access it. 20 anni di età, okay? Da che totally di patente A2, da meno 2 anni. So if you have 21 years of age and you own patente A2 for at least 2 years, you can go for patente A, okay? But make sure that you have patente A2, da meno 2 anni, that you have patente A2 for at least 2 years of age, okay? Before you can go for patente A. Accesso direito. So direct access. Direct access of this Patente A. Daqui non é já tutelar de Patente A doer, de amene doer. So this direct access to achieve this Patente A for whoever that don't have Patente A doer that menu doer. So for who have never have Patente A doer for at least 2 years, for example, so you can access this Patente A direct. If you have never gotten this Patente A doer for at least 2 years, so you don't have it, you don't get them for 2 years, you don't have them at all, okay, for at least 2 years. Solo say high computer 24 anni di età. So if you not get Patente A doer for at least 2 years, no problem. So only solo high computer 24 anni di età. So if you not get Patente A doer for at least 2 years, but you know that now you have completed 24 years of age, no problem, you can go for Patente A directly, okay? That is the accesso direito, so you can go directly. If you don't even have Patente A doer for at least 2 years, no problem. So only if you have completed 24 years of age, you can go for Patente A directly, okay? Abilita anche alla guida del veicolo conducibile con la Patente AM A1 e A2. So this Patente A, it will enable you to drive the vehicles Patente AM can drive, A1 can drive, and A2 can drive. So Patente A is superior to all these licenses that they just mentioned. So you can use Patente A to drive all the vehicles that Patente AM, Patente A1, and Patente A2 can drive, okay? So it's your senior brother or their uncle, I may say. So then motorcycle, so the big motorbike, you can use Patente A to drive them. I'm at the first picture now. Cilindrata oltre 50 cm3. So the cylinder of the big motorbike is above 50 cm3. Velocità oltre 45 km/h. So their maximum velocity is above 45 km/h, okay? The motorcycle con carrossetta, so the big motorbike with the roof, right? Is this what the second one, okay? Cilindrata oltre 50 cm3. So the cylinder of the engine is above 50 cm3. Velocità oltre 45 km/h. So their maximum velocity is above 45 km/h. So the tricycle, the big tricycle. So the big tricycle, which is the big tricycles, you can use Patente A to drive them as well. Potenza superiore, so the power is above 15 kilowatts. The power is above 15 kilowatts, okay? Man solo dopo 21 anni di età. But you must consider that if you have completed 21 years of age before you can drive the tricycle, that the power is above 15 kilowatts, okay? Then agricultural machine. Macchina agricole, you can still use Patente A to drive the agricultural machine. Limited disagoma, so make sure that the size limit, air massa, and the weight previously per motorcycle is the same as the big motorbike, okay? Before you can use Patente A to drive them. So I just done with the Patente A now. I'm just done with the Patente A. So please try to take the videos slow and steady and understand before you continue, okay? So I don't want to make this video too long. I will end it here. Then the next one I will continue. So see you guys on the next lesson, which is Patente B, okay?